Hey everyone, and welcome to the Mark Prater podcast, where our aim is to connect our global family of Sovereign Grace churches to our executive director. Mark, a resource that was introduced not too long ago especially instrumental in creating this resource, Ricky Alcantar, pastor down in
hmm
Texas, that we
hmm
know and love, is Sovereign Grace Church Pastors, sgcpastors.com. Now, I heard about this back a ways. We got an email and an update and went, checked on it, kind of forgot about it, I'll be quite honest. Went
hmm
back on maybe a month ago and was
hmm
astonished to find it is chock full of helpful resources. So, if guys heard about the website and haven't been on it, or perhaps are hearing about it for the first time, talk to us about the sgcpastors.com website.
Yeah, I wanted to because I think we're all prone to forget, as you mentioned, Ben, and I
Yeah.
wanted to draw attention to this website. It's for Sovereign Grace pastors, and if it serves pastors outside of Sovereign Grace, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a website that is filled with really helpful resources
Hmm.
that I'll talk about in just a moment. And the redesign of the website to make it more accessible and I think even more helpful is really the work of Ricky Alcantar, as you mentioned, the senior pastor of Cross of Grace Church in El Paso, Texas.
Yep.
And he's got some historic resources on there that continue to shape us. He's got current resources, and he's got some new initiatives on there as well, all of which are intended to offer our pastors in Sovereign Grace resources to strengthen their pastoral ministry in their local church. That's why I like the way that Ricky wrote sort of the purpose statement or the title of the website. It says resources for the joyful work. Love that joyful work of pastoral ministry in the dearest place on earth.
Hmm.
And it's just really well said.
Yeah.
It's really well written. And what he's done is he's made these resources much more accessible by putting them in categories. So there's articles, there's podcasts, there's voicemails, there's news, and there's books. And so you can click on each of those categories and find different resources that are really, really helpful. And I want to remind our pastors of this resource and to go there somewhat routinely so that
Hmm.
you can benefit from new resources that are being posted. As I mentioned, I think these are not helpful for our pastors. I think these can be helpful to members of our churches as well.
Yes, excellent. I mean, it really is. There's a wealth of helpful resources on this website. Just tons of stuff that is continually being updated, and including podcasts and things like that, which I didn't even know were new episodes are being created, like the Ordinary Pastor podcast. Hey, guess what, guys? If you don't know this, they've been making a whole bunch of Ordinary Pastor podcasts.
Right.
And one of the wonderful things about our this page is it takes advantage in large part to the real gift and wealth that we have in the pastors of Sovereign Grace churches. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
you and I would both agree we just have the finest pastors on earth in Sovereign Grace churches, and this is really drawing from a lot of gifting when it comes to writing, wisdom in podcasts and so forth. So talk to us a bit about these resources. There's a bunch of articles, for instance. What are
Mhm.
the articles about?
Yeah, let's talk about the articles, the category of articles first. There's a number of just really good articles that are there just to give you an idea of how you can benefit from this particular website. For example, there's an article entitled 21 Ways to Plant Your Next Church. That's
Hmm.
written by Ricky Alcantar and Eric Trebetsky. There's a couple of articles there from Mike Bullmore. One, lessons learned by experience. I mean, he means lessons learned in preaching by experience in preaching. And then another one, preaching and your heart.
Hmm.
So those are resources that are drawn from a February 2008 conference that Mike Bullmore did at our pastor's college on expository preaching. It was Mike Bullmore, Jeff Purswell, and CJ Mahaney. And CJ has an article on there as well
Hmm.
from that February 2008 conference at the PC. His article is entitled "My Burden for Preaching." For preaching my burden for preaching. Sorry, priority and passions by C.J. Mahaney. So those are are those articles are gold. And those
Mm.
are our resources that we just don't want to take and lock away in a vault. We want to take
Yeah,
out our best resources and make them available. There are younger generations of pastors, second
that's right.
and some, and most likely third generation of pastors who weren't old enough to attend that conference, and
Yeah.
yet those resources are very valuable to them in growing as preachers. So just those are just a few of the articles that are listed there, just to kind of whet your taste a bit for how you can benefit.
That's excellent. Yeah, 2008 is when I became a member of Living Hope. I mean, I've been a pastor for 15 years, and I wasn't around even for that. So there really just is a rich history over decades of us being together and enjoying the gift of leadership and pastoral ministry. And I love that it's being tapped into with this website. Talk to us about the podcast. So I mentioned Ordinary Pastor
Yeah.
podcast. Of course, we have our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Bob has his podcast. But the
Mm-hmm.
Ordinary Pastor podcast is Jared and John from the leadership
Mm-hmm.
team that
Yeah.
interviewing pastors and giving us an opportunity to learn from and glean wisdom from pastors in Sovereign Grace churches. Talk to us about the podcasts on the website.
Yeah, well, that's right. There's the Ordinary Pastor podcast. There's a 40 for 40 podcast, 40 sermons that have shaped Sovereign Grace over 40 years in our history.
Yeah.
There's Sound Plus Doctrine that Bob Coughlin does. There's our podcast that's listed there. Those are just some of the few podcasts that are listed. But I don't know how many of our guys are aware of the Ordinary Pastor podcast
Right.
that was resurrected just a few years ago by John and Jared. John Payne, who's the senior pastor of Redemption Hill Church in Round Rock, Texas, and Jared Mellinger, senior pastor of Covenant Fellowship Church in Glen Mills, PA. And those guys actually just did some recent new episodes on the Ordinary Pastor podcast. So just give you an idea of what those are. They just dropped an episode entitled "A Tribute to Team Pastors."
Mm.
So we can talk a lot about the role of the senior pastor there, and they're talking about the role of team guys that are on teams and the vital role they play in the life of the church and in pastoral ministry. They've got a recent podcast on preaching delivery, and both those men are very good preachers. So that's just a way that you can benefit. And then they've got a recent episode entitled "Fighting Self Pity."
Mm.
Something that we can all battle, whether we're
Right.
in ministry or not. So those are recent episodes I would encourage you to listen to on the Ordinary Pastor podcast. You can find that on the sgcpastors.com website. And you might even be able to subscribe to it to get regular episodes delivered to you when they record. So those are just some of the podcasts. And I wanted to highlight the Ordinary Pastor podcast in particular.
Excellent. And there are some other things as well. There are voicemails. This is a new
Yes.
one.
Yeah, it's called Voicemail. It's a new initiative by Ricky that I really do appreciate. And really, what it is, voicemails. They're timely advice for timely advice from seasoned pastors
Mhm.
on frequently asked questions in pastoral ministry. So what Ricky did is he just went to some of our most seasoned guys and asked them to record no more than, I think it's under 10 minutes, and maybe even less than that, just a recording like you would receive a voicemail on a particular topic or question you might be asked in pastoral ministry. So, for example, there's one there on how to handle team ministry tensions
Mm.
that John Payne speaks to. There's another one entitled "Does Our Statement of Faith Really Matter?" And Mark Alderton speaks about that. I've got one on there about how to effectively serve business people in your church. So
Okay.
they're very short. They're less than 10 minutes long, and they're wisdom from some of our most experienced guys. So I encourage you to check out that voicemail section as well.
Well, that's wonderful. I want to thank Ricky, of course, for the hard work that he's put into helping get this thing off the ground, and for all of the guys that are participating and supplying us with resources to help us in the task of pastoring, and for those looking on that are interested in pastoring as well, even. So, as you think about this website and you think about the pastors of Sovereign Grace churches, what do you hope the effect of this website will be on Sovereign Grace?
Yeah, I think the hope of it all is a couple of things. First of all, that this website would strengthen you in the joyful work of pastoral ministry.
Yeah, it's good.
Because we all have issues we face there that we need help with. There's always areas of growth that we have. It seems like pastoral ministry is a lifelong classroom, to say it another way. At least it has been for me.
Yes.
And you just continue to learn. In fact, the more you're in pastoral ministry, the more the more you realize you've got more to learn, right?
So true.
So it's there in terms of having helpful resources, but I think also my hope for it is that it strengthens partnership. This is really Sovereign Grace pastors, for the most part, helping Sovereign Grace pastors. Now, there are some resources from non-Sovereign Grace pastors. They're like Mike Bullmore, but it mostly is Sovereign Grace pastors helping Sovereign Grace pastors. It's just another way to benefit from and to strengthen partnership in Sovereign Grace. And then
Yeah.
ultimately, may all that lead to us serving our churches more effectively, for the ultimate goal of giving Christ all the glory for how we serve the
Yeah.
dearest place on earth.
Yes. Wonderful. I mean, there are lots of sort of websites that capture articles and podcasts and things like that. One thing that's really helpful is understanding that on this website, these are like-minded brothers.
Mm-hmm.
These are our brothers in the pastors of Sovereign Grace. Like we share the same values and virtues in common,
Mm-hmm.
and same heart for the gospel. And so that becomes a trustworthy place, I think, for us to go to find help in that task where we all feel the need for a great amount of help in that task of pastoring. So thank you to everybody who's contributed to the website. Thank you,
Yep.
Mark, for the update, and thank you all for checking out the podcast. We'll see you here next week, Lord willing. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, Mark would love to hear from you. For more videos like this, hit subscribe on YouTube or by email at markkprater.com.